We got to rethink this. All right, I guess that's not gonna work. So if you want a DTF print, you gotta learn this. You can see yesterday, the white ink line burst somewhere inside this. I'm gonna show you the underside. Don't see that. So the white ink line probably ripped in there somewhere, and today we're gonna fix it. Let's make t-shirts. So the biggest issue that I have, well, we actually have three actually, is number one, the white ink line goes into the printer. And I don't know if you can see that, but it goes into this little space in between these two metal pieces. And then it goes out and around. And then it goes out here, and it gets split into the 4 ink lines for the damper. So what we need to do, number one, and I've done some of this already. Number one, we got to take all of these off. Number two, we have to open this mesh cover because I don't want to disconnect all of the ink lines. So I don't want to disconnect the color because they're working perfectly. So I'm just going to open this up and then take out the white ink line. Probably have to unscrew this. Yeah, I do have to unscrew this because it keeps everything in place. I don't know if you can see that. There's this, like, I need to unscrew that. And then I also have to unscrew this so that we can see where the ink line's going. Oh boy. And probably also need to disconnect this carriage fork, which, to be honest, that's the main thing that I really don't want to do because everything's working fine except for that white ink line, but we'll see what we can do with it. Ink line, you have to be able to move this because you have to move that whole thing. So before I did that, I turned on the printer, moved it to the left a little bit so that the capping station will go down. Otherwise, these two are going to be all the way up. And when you move this, that can mess up your print head. So make sure that you do that first. And then once you moved it out of the station, you can turn off the printer. Make sure that you unplug it. And then you can start playing with it. Look at that. See, this is wet ink. All those locks are white. So I'm going to soak that in cleaner until it turns black again. Oh man, look at that. Ooh, there's a lot of ink in there. And see this here, I don't know if you can see that, but it's still shining, meaning it's still like super new ink. It just leaked out. It's probably like a small slip in there somewhere, but if we're gonna find it, we pretty much took off all the mounts that keep everything in place. And now I'm cutting this tape just so I can see where the white is getting split into the 4 sublines. So all we need to figure out now is which line has a leak and then replace that, which is easier. So now we're going to cut through this mesh. We have no choice but to do it because, you know, in DTF, when something's working, like our color lines, you don't mess with it. So we found where the hole is on this first line. All the ink lines are connected to each other, so we're just separating them. But I had to put these 2 clips in place because check out what happens when I see that. Yep, it squirts out, and so I'm clipping it in place. So unfortunately, because all the ink lines are attached to each other, we need to separate this one that's leaking, and it goes underneath there. We're gonna have to remove the whole carriage board. Oh man, it's gonna be a long night. So that is what we need to replace. But the problem is if we cut it here, all the ink's gonna drip and it's going to fry, if you're lucky, just your ribbon cables. If you're unlucky, it'll fry the whole print head. And now you have a $900 problem, which we don't want. So what we're gonna do is we're going to take this thing off, set it aside, cut it away from the pin head so that if any of the ink leaks out, we're gonna be okay. Oh my gosh, this whole thing, I swear. We gotta rethink it. All right, I guess that's not gonna work. So we're off to plan B. It's the next day and we've had a little bit of rest, so my mind's a little fresher. And I think we have a Band-Aid solution for this for now. Instead of replacing all of these ink lines, because like we said, they're all attached to each other, I think we're just going to cut these up and then splice it with an extra piece of tubing I'm gonna look for connectors for that so that we can order it and get it hopefully fixed up, even temporarily.
48 hours later.
Great news, the connectors came in, these things right here, and I still have some extra ink tubes. By the way, for the Oddly, this is a polyvinyl tube with a 4mm outer diameter and a 2.5mm inner diameter. And what we're going to do, get one of these connectors, this thing right here, and put it on both ends like so, and then splice it to the printer. So you can see there, this should be okay, but I want to make sure, I just want to bring the tubing all the way to the top there. And then we're going to work on the other side and then see if we can splice it. Fingers crossed. Hopefully that works. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this clamp, move it over here, and we're going to add another clamp here. And hopefully, you know, we have enough time to put them together before the ink goes crazy and starts spilling out. You ready to cut, Ma? I did not know this is going to work out. You got it? So I'm just going to take off this clamp. All right. Snip, snip. Ready, Ma? And wait. Push it. I'm a little nervous. All right, let's go. Good Lord. Ready? All right, I'm doing it. Okay. All right, neither side is that's ink flowing through. So that part worked, but we have some ink on the camera. By the way, I just realized I also need to clamp one end so that when we get these two connected, the ink's not gonna flow either, which it shouldn't, but you know, just to be safe. Then I'm gonna get this in there somewhat. Oh, it's working, Mama. I think it's working. Come on, check this out. Check this out. I think that worked pretty well. What do you think? And so we're gonna do the same thing. We're going to remove this clamp, and then we're gonna hook it up to. We're gonna cut it here. So we're gonna move these clamps over here. Okay, so we got it connected on both ends. All right, feels solid. On this side, I'm pulling as well. Feels solid as well, so that should be good. But before we clean up and do, you know, and put it all back together, we're gonna do a clean and load ink just to see if we have any leaks on both ends. I have. I'm a little nervous. I hope this works. We tried to load the ink, but it was going through slowly. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna prime one of the dampers so that we can get the ink going through. Woo. After, what was it, like maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes, we got done cleaning. It's not perfect. We got most of the white ink out. So same thing here, it looks better. So last thing that we need to do is put it together, and then we can do a test print. So remember, we took off some clamps here. Same thing here. So we're gonna put those back in, cut out this mesh. We do have some mesh, but it's all I can find is 1.5 inch mesh on it. Well, all I can find yesterday was 1.5 mesh, and I was in a little bit of a panic. So we're gonna use some of this electrical tape to wrap around some sections so that we can keep all of them together. Okay, good. And we're just gonna use that mesh that we cut up. We're just gonna close it this way. And I'm not gonna worry about it because it's gonna be in there. I don't know if you can see that, but we're just gonna wrap it around, and then we're going to start putting it back together. All right, so you can see we have the ink line in there inside the mesh. It goes all the way around up there, going around this way. So now we're gonna lock them in place with these. See that? Check it out. What do you think, Wes? That good? Good. Everything's good. all the way to the end. Yeah, we're looking solid. So next, we're gonna put it all back together and do some test prints, and then hopefully we will be good to go. So if you have any tips or if you have any videos, please share it in the comment section below so that people can see the actual right way of doing things. Because right now, as a DTF printer, you tend to become your own technician because technician work is super expensive. So you learn to do things yourself. And sometimes it works, but it's not the right way to do things or not the best way to do it. We're just gonna move this back and forth to see if there are any problems with the way that we set up the cables. Very solid right there. So next, we're just gonna put all the clamps back together and then we're gonna test print. Boom. So next we're gonna clean the encoder strip. We're gonna use these lint-free swabs and some isopropyl alcohol. Okay, so I'm just passing it through the encoder strip. FYI, the encoder strip is what tells your printer where the carriage is so that your print head knows what is gonna print at every location. We're gonna wait for that to dry out for a couple of minutes and then we're gonna do a test print and we'll see if any of that worked. All right, moment of truth. And then as you can see there, we have a lot of breaks on the nozzle. It could be one of two things. There was some air in the line earlier. The nozzles were exposed to air for about 2 hours as we were cleaning this. So we're gonna do a few more cleaning cycles, load ink, clean, load ink, clean until we get that clear. All right, doing a test print to see what's going on here. Let's check out the back to see what's going on there. So now everything is going good. We put everything back together. As you can see there, we put the back cover on there. We're just screwing it in. We did some test prints, but we're gonna test print again tomorrow. Hopefully everything works out. Also, we're gonna check
This whole section right here is going to be white again. I don't know if you can see that, but that's going to be white again
with and flooded with ink. So hopefully it's okay. If this video ends here, that means that everything worked well and it's up and running. There are any issues, then there's going to be a clip next to this. It is now almost midnight, as you can see there. We're tired. Tomorrow's a work day. I think we did good. We're just gonna finish up covering that whole back and then we're gonna chill for a little bit and then sleep. So, what do you think about DTF now? Is it hard? It is hard. They said go do DTF. It's gonna be fun. It is fun, but there are some challenging days like this where you have to just power through the night to get things going. But I'm pretty happy that we're good to go. And I'm rambling because I'm tired. But that's it for this video. Hopefully, if you have any questions or any comments, a better way of doing, what we just did, put it in the comment section below. And in the meantime, let's make t-shirts.